Happy Monday, rock stars. Welcome back to Metaphysical Monday. I'm Susan at the Fossil Cartel. So many people think that the interest in healing crystals is a new age phenomena. In one sense it is, but in another sense, different cultures from all over the world have been using crystals, even back to the days of the Bible. So I'm going to share with you today how some different cultures have used crystals throughout the ages. So let's start with the Bible. So it even says right in the Bible that the breastplate worn by the high priest in the Jewish temple should contain 12 separate different stones that represents the different tribes. And it gives specific directions such as, and it said, this is quote from the Bible, "And you shall set it with 4 rows of mounted stones. The first row, a ruby, an emerald, a topaz. The second row, a garnet," they called it a carbuncle then, "a sapphire, and a quartz crystal. The third row, a jacinth," which is a variety of zircon, which I didn't even know, so I learned something new. Hi, Veronica. "And then an agate and an amethyst. In the fourth row, a chrysolite, an onyx, and an opal." So that's from the Bible. So we know that stones, the crystal healing energy of stones, have been around since the Bible. And then many of us are aware that Native Americans use stones a lot as well. Like, for instance, hi Amy, hi from Ohio, hi from Oregon to Ohio. Native Americans use a lot of turquoise. And after the Tucson show this year, my husband and I went down to this area where was it? I don't even remember now, but we went to see some ancient ruins, some ancient Native American ruins. And it was on our way to Peridot. So it was like a couple of hours away from Tucson, in the middle of nowhere, basically. It was near Globe. That's where we were, Globe. And there were these ancient ruins. And on one of the placards, it talked about this ceremonial room. And it said, below the altar is a small square hole called a sipapu. The sipapu was filled with ground turquoise and sealed by a large quartz crystal. Based on studies of Native American groups in the Southwest, anthropologists believe the sipapu represents an earth navel where spirits can pass from the Middle Earth to this world. Oh, you're welcome, Amy. Congratulations. Amy won the 420 contest because the first winner didn't claim her prize. So note to self, if you ever enter a contest, check to see if you won. So we know that the Native Americans used a lot of turquoise. They also used hematite as war paint because you could crush up hematite and it would streak red, and that's how they got their war paint. So I'm going to show you some turquoise. This is actually turquoise from Arizona, where a lot of Native American culture is from, where they used the turquoise. And by the way, I want to remind you, if you ever see anything that I show that you can't find on the website, let me know, because I could work with you via email, phone, text, message, direct message, whatever. We can work it out. So here's a beautiful, the style of bead is called a hishi because it's flat and round. And these are natural turquoise. You have to be really careful with turquoise because there's a lot of fake turquoise out there. But we don't carry fake turquoise. Well, there is one form of turquoise that we have that's stabilized turquoise. So they crush it up and they add polymer to it and they make a form of turquoise. But this is natural turquoise. This is not crushed up turquoise. These are from nuggets of turquoise that were cut and polished into these shapes. This is a beautiful hishi turquoise necklace. Give you a little idea of what natural turquoise looks like. So we had the Bible, we had the Native Americans, and then I learned of different uses. I knew some of them, but I learned more from this website called savannahspirit.com. So for instance, the Romans, the first-class citizens, had amulets of protective talisman made out of crystals and stones. Usually they were used to attract good health, fortune, prosperity, or good outcomes in battle. And hi, Mara. Oh, good. You like that. I've been aware that ancient cultures have used stones as talisman a lot, right? A lot of us are familiar. And by the way, if I don't cover something that you're aware of, please let us know in the comments what I'm missing, because there are lots of cultures that have used stones, and I'm sure I'm not going to cover all of them. So let me know if you know of any that I haven't covered. So Amy, your favorite is turquoise, and it's your birthstone. All right, so you're a December baby, right? That's cool. I love turquoise too. I always did. I feel very connected to Native Americans as well. I love them so much. Okay, so that was the Romans, and then Chinese culture. Chinese medicine frequently uses healing crystals such as crystal-tipped needles used in acupuncture. I wasn't aware of that before. Do we have any acupuncturists out there that can tell us more about that? That'd be interesting, huh? I would imagine it would increase the healing energies of the acupuncture. And then we have ancient Egyptians. Egyptians loved crystals and used them frequently in rituals, particularly when burying the dead, right? We've seen a lot of mummy tombs with all sorts of stones in them. Their energetic power was believed to help them find their way to the afterlife. That makes sense. Pharaohs and priests used cylinders filled with quartz to balance the Ba and Ka energies of the body. I would imagine the Ba and Ka would be the yin and yang energies. To bring enlightenment and awareness, lapis was worn by female royalty such as Cleopatra, also made into eyeshadow. So I have some lapis spheres. Lapis is a gorgeous stone. Now, it comes from Afghanistan, the main bulk of it. So they would, probably meet traders that traipsed over to Egypt from Afghanistan. So that's from some of the first commerce was trading gemstones. Here's a freeform lapis. I just think that's fascinating. Hi, Michael. So lapis often has little specks of pyrite in it. That's one way to tell it apart from sodalite. It also comes from Chile, but the stuff from Afghanistan is way, way better. There's a big chunk of pyrite right there. We also have tumbled lapis. When I was in college, my major was fashion design, and I know the ancient Sumerians also used stones. They worked with lapis and carnelian. In fact, I made this headpiece and breastplate of carnelian and lapis for my project. So here's, maybe Cleopatra wore a lapis beaded necklace like this one. Or maybe she had some micro beads like this necklace. Or maybe she wore a pendant like this one. Hi, Linda. Or maybe she wore a smaller pendant like this one. There's a little faceted lapis pendant. Okay, so we know the Egyptians used stones, and they also thought rubies embodied sexuality, and their dancers would put rubies in their belly buttons. So we have some tumbled ruby. We have some ruby crystals. We have small ones and big ones. Here's some they're on the small side. We have even smaller than this if you want a tiny one for your medicine pouch. And then here's an example of one of the bigger ruby crystals. So this has been cut, you see, but this is the shape. This is the natural shape of a crystal. It's just been sliced, top and bottom. Sometimes you can see little triangles. Oh, there you go. See the triangles? Isn't that neat? I love that. That's natural. Okay, so rubies for sexuality. And then the Greeks, before entering battle, they crushed hematite up, and it was rubbed on soldiers' bodies with the idea that it made them invincible, similar to what I was saying about the Native Americans using it as war paint, right? Because it streaks red. So here's some botryoidal hematite. So botryoidal means, or botryoidal, means it has that bubbly look to it. It's what happened when it was forming, probably from heating up in the liquid that was in it or around it or whatever. So this one has been polished a little bit on the surface, and here's, you can see on the back it hasn't been polished. And then here's a hematite sphere. So that was the hematite. And also the word crystal comes from the Greek word Christoulos, which means ice. And many ancient cultures believed crystals were like clear, like crystals like clear quartz were eternal ice from the heavens. And then amethyst, according to Greek mythology, an intoxicated Dionysus, which was the god of wine and rituals, became infuriated with a young virgin named Amethyst. And when the girl asked the goddess Diana for help, Diana turned her into stone to protect her. And feeling sorry for his actions, Dionysus began to cry, and his tears fell into his cup of wine. And then the cup overturned and spilled onto the stone, which was Amethyst, the woman Amethyst, covering it completely until it became amethyst, the amethyst we know today. And then the name amethyst was derived from the ancient Greek word amethystos, meaning sober. And it was said that amethyst could protect the bearer from getting too drunk, and also instills a sober and serious mind. And it's believed that if somebody would drink out of a goblet made of amethyst, that you wouldn't get intoxicated at all. You wouldn't get drunk at all. Wouldn't that be cool to see a whole glass goblet made of amethyst? I have never seen one before. That would be so cool. And I don't have goblets of amethyst, but I have all sorts of other amethyst. Here's an amethyst sphere. I suppose you could put an amethyst in your drink, and then that would help you become less intoxicated. Here's another smaller one. Here's a really big one. This is chevron amethyst. So chevron amethyst has these white markings like a chevron. They're usually like in V's. And this stuff usually comes from Africa. I think sometimes it comes from India too. And of course we have lots of amethyst crystals and clusters. Here's a beautiful Uruguayan amethyst cluster. Okay, so that's amethyst. And then, whoa, my light, come back. And then we have ancient Japan. So ancient Japanese used crystals frequently when trying to connect to psychic energies. Usually they would scry, which means using a crystal ball to predict or foretell the future. Crystal spheres were considered representative of the heart of a dragon, and it signified power and wisdom. So here's a really gigantic crystal sphere we have. This one's a little bit smoky. Usually for scrying you need a super clear one, like optically clear. Those are really hard to find. And just to give you an idea of the different sizes of quartz spheres we have. That's a large one too, not as large as the first one. Here's like a medium large. We have a really good selection of quartz spheres at the moment. Here's a medium small. And I forgot to grab a small one. Let me see if I can grab it real quick. Oh darn. Well, we have nice small ones I forgot to grab about that big that are just about optically clear too, and they're only like, I think they're between $12 and $24, and they're beautiful. And then of course we have all sorts of quartz crystals. Here's one, it's really gorgeous. It has been polished, but they polish it along the natural face of the crystal. And the reason it has this blue tape on the ends is just to protect the tips. let's see, India. India. It's the last one. So Ayurvedic medicine, which it's like one of the oldest holistic healing systems, developed more than 3,000 years ago, considers crystals and gemstones invaluable to counteracting the effects of astrology and karma. In one of the oldest Hindu scripts, the Vedas, healing crystals are documented with their specific healing properties. There probably isn't any other culture that has used crystals as extensively as the Hindus. So I just thought that was so cool. All the different cultures from around the world throughout the ages have used crystals, so it's not a new thing, even though it seems like a new thing, right? So let me know again if you can think of a culture I forgot of, because I know there's other ones. I just couldn't think of all of them. And wishing you a lovely day. Thanks for watching, everyone. Stay tuned for Wednesday updates on Wednesday. Cheers.